Hey everybody, I'm Maggie.
And I'm Tom.
And welcome to Youth Group. Tonight's theme is Gone Fishing, because we've gone fishing.
We've got an awesome night planned for you guys full of Jesus, so thanks for tuning in.
And let's kick it all off with a message from Trevor.
Hey guys, welcome you to Youth Group. I can't wait until the fall when we can see each other again and play games. But for now, you can just do some jumping jacks and have fun with your family and run around just like I used to do. And yeah, so just have fun with your family and make sure you stay safe. Okay, goodbye.
Thanks, Trevor, for that awesome message. And now we're going to send it to Patty, where she has a special fishing game planned out for us today.
Whoa! Welcome back to First Church Game Show, and I'm your host, Patricia. And as Maggie said, even though she called me Patty, but as Maggie said, we are playing a fishing game today. We're gonna be bobbing bobbers! Oh yeah! And the two contestants we have today are very special. I don't know why they said that, but they are not special to me. But come in, Maya and Savannah. Woo-hoo! Are you guys ready to bob some bobbers?
Oh, you bet. She's
Okay.
going down.
Okay. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna put a minute on the clock, and just like bobbing apples, they're gonna stick their ugly faces in there and get all these bobbers out, as many as they can. But only one at a time. No grabbing multiples, okay? Okay, one at a time for 1 whole minute. But we always know at Patricia's Game Show we have a kicker. And here it is. The loser has to jump in the freezing cold Lake Maloney Lake. Oh my gosh, are you guys so excited?
She's excited.
Oh, well, I'm excited to see one of you jump in. I don't know. Okay, so let's put a minute on that clock. Go! Bob those bobbers! Woo! Oh my gosh, you both suck! Oh! Get it! Come on! Well, you jump. Oh, yummy! Yummy! It's raisin bread. Hallelujah! It's raisin bread. Whoa! Shoo-ba-doo bop bop ba doo bop bo! It's raisin bread. Hey! Faster! Go! Go! Dude, she is kicking your butt! Oh my gosh! I told you last time on that one time on the game show that would be the only time that she ever won. And look at this. She's losing! You suck! You suck! No, I believe it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh! Okay, so let's count the bobbers. Well, it is pretty obvious to the eye that Maya officially sucks at this game. So, Savannah, you're the winner! Okay, and you know what that means, Maya? You're the loser. Okay, we're gonna go get ready to jump in the lake. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back and we're at the lake. Step right up. Get in.
Okay.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we all wait for. Oh, she needs to raise the tail.
Thanks for that, Patty. That was a awesome game. But now we're going to switch up gears and we're going to be going into one of our newest segments where Zach sits down one-on-one and has a conversation with one of our students. I was really encouraged by it last week, so I'm excited to see what this week has in store. Take it away, Zach.
Well, thanks, Tom, for that. And I'm excited about this segment here where I get to sit down with the one and only Sarah Ferris. So, Sarah, welcome. We are so glad that you are a part of this conversation. Are you excited? Are you nervous? How are you feeling?
Very excited.
Okay, good. Good. So for the person watching this right now, they might be looking at you and going, well, who is that? Well, we want to get to know you a little bit. So I'm going to just go down a line of this or that kind of things and just without even thinking, all right, give me your honest answer.
That's my specialty.
On which one that you, oh, good. Honesty is the best policy. So dog or cat?
Dog.
Netflix or YouTube?
Netflix.
Do you prefer phone call or text?
Phone call.
Pancakes or waffles?
Pancakes.
They're crucial questions to get to know you, Sarah. So,
Yes.
Snapchat or Instagram?
Snapchat.
Patricia or Maggie?
Ooh, don't do that to me, Zach.
If you had
Aw.
to pick one, you said you're about honesty.
Maggie.
What would you say best defines Sarah Ferris?
Quiet. I tend to be more on the quiet side. I don't like to be the center of attention all the time.
Do you find that like with you, like when you're in your quiet space, do you find yourself connecting with Jesus easier?
Yeah, it's a lot easier when it's quiet and I'm by myself and I have that time to think and really just kind of be. One of my favorite times is just like, I've been doing this thing where like during quarantine, it's helped a lot, like being able to, I'm by myself a lot now because,
Yeah.
social distancing, but
Yeah.
I'm finding time to just kind of like either put on worship music and like turn off everything else or just kind of be and like turn off my phone and just have time to focus.
Is there a moment in your life where you were kind of like, I don't know, down in the dumps, or maybe something happened, or maybe there was a struggle going on and you needed Jesus?
Beginning of my junior year, probably. I was not in the greatest mindset, not in the greatest place, but I had friends who really like came up beside me and were like, hey, like, what's going on? And they were talking to me, and a lot of them were praying for me, which really helped. They're the sweetest, and then realizing like there was a reason all of it was happening and there's a bigger plan, and showing me that like having a lot of friends isn't what makes you feel fulfilled. It's having those good friends who are grounded in Christ with you. And that's when I cut a lot of toxic people out of my life, but it's all for the better and I'm in a much better place now.
Cutting out toxic people. That's easier said than done, but but you did it. So how do you go about doing that? Because for some, that's where their identity is, in popularity and getting the most friends and followers and things like that. If you want to grow in your relationship with Jesus, I love what you said. You got to cut toxic people out. You got to get those few good Christ following friends to surround you. And so how do you do that? Like, what does that process look like for you? Are there any repercussions? Like what happened?
So it took me a lot longer than it should have, but that's pretty much always the story. They're your friends and you don't want to let them go, but you have to realize like they aren't good for you and they're bringing those toxic things into your life. So I just kind of started edging myself away a little bit. I wouldn't be around them as much, or if I was, I would make sure I was with other people, and I was focusing more on hanging out with my good Christian friends and Bible studies and stuff like that. And eventually I just had to face them and be like, this isn't what a good friendship looks like. So I'm going to step back and you can figure yourself out and I'll still be there for you. But if you need, it feels like you need time to kind of figure yourself out. So you do that. And I'm going to be with my good friends. And if you feel like you have yourself figured out and you want to talk, let's do it. And that has not happened. Fun fact. They just kind of were like, oh, yep. And then they left and that was the end.
And that has to be hard, because they were friends.
Yeah.
And I think it's just such a mature response. Because not only did you handle it with grace, because you said, look, I want to better my life. I want to grow like with Jesus. I want to be around those good friends you mentioned. But I love what you said. You said, I'm still here for you. if you need to talk or if you want to try to figure this out, I'm still here for you. And I think that takes a lot of grace and mercy and love, to be able to do something like that and say that to them. Anything else, Sarah, that you want to mention to the people watching Youth Group?
Please be nice to your families. They're going through it too. It's not just you. Everybody's there.
Yeah.
Try and have a little more patience with everybody right now. Reach out to the people that you care about, because I know it's easy to just kind of isolate yourself right now, because isolation. But we have the technology, so use it. Reach out to your friends. They're important too. You never know what they might be going through.
Sarah, thank you so much for joining me today for this conversation. This was so good. I hope that you enjoyed it as well.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun.
That's really kind of you. I feel like we're a TV show right now. So we're going to transition now into worship. And so we're going to continue in our series, Death to Selfie, and it's all about identity. And today is all about compromise. So sometimes we compromise our faith just so we could fit in within groups at our school, at work, or just different friend groups. And so we're going to do that, but we're going to start with some worship music. And so let's go and let's worship now. Well, tonight as we continue in our Death to Selfie series, we're going to talk about our identity. And when we put our identity in someone or something other than Jesus,
we lose sight of who Jesus is actually calling us to be. And what we end up doing is we compromise our values and our faith in Jesus so that we can fit in to these other places that we try to put our identity in. I don't know if you've ever done that before. I don't know if that's just me, but maybe you've changed who you are or who you were in order to fit in with a certain group of people. And I don't know if that looks like you go to school and you're around these certain groups of friends and you have to change what you say that you wouldn't normally say. You have to change what you do, what you normally wouldn't do, so that you would fit in with those people. The way you dress, you change to fit in with that group. And then maybe, this was me in high school, but maybe you also have to change who you are, what you look like, what you say when you go to church. Because who you are at church is completely different from who you are at school. But you have to fit in the church crowd. So you have to use the church words. I call it Christianese. Use the church words, do the church things, dress the church way to fit in with that group. Or maybe you play on a football team, or you're on some group sport, or maybe you're just on an extracurricular, you do an extracurricular activity. But you have to change who you are when you're in that locker room, because it looks a lot different from the person who goes to church. And you try to do all these things and go to all these places. You're constantly changing and compromising who you really are and who God is calling you to be so that you would fit in with a group of people. And the truth of the matter is, if we continue to compromise our values, our faith, our beliefs, then it can lead us down a path that is really, truly dangerous. And I hope you don't treat this as an okay boomer moment, like, oh, you're just an old person, you don't really know what I'm going through. But let me just tell you, I've seen people in all walks of life in the past 11 years as a student pastor. I've seen students go down a dangerous path because they've given up their Christianity, their faith in Jesus. And what they did was, like, they said, I'm going to do it on my own because, you know what, I'm just going to go put my identity in this. And you might not think that what you're doing right now could lead you down a dangerous road and a dangerous path, but just know, the more you build the sin in your life, the one, it's harder to get out of, but two, the more miserable you become. And Jesus tells us a story in the Bible about two sons who were living with their father. And the story Jesus was telling was this. It was one day, one of the sons asked his father for all of his inheritance. All of his share of the money, all of the things that his dad was kind of keeping until he died. Because once the dad dies, then the inheritance goes to his sons. But instead of waiting until his dad had died, his dad gave it to him anyway. He gave the son who really wanted his inheritance in that moment. He gave it all away. And so the son went to live on his own. He took all of his money and he went his own separate way. And this is where we're going to pick up the story in Luke chapter 15 and verse 13. It says, not long after that, after the son had received all his money, his inheritance, not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there he squandered his wealth in wild living. You see, the younger son got all the money from his dad, and he said, you know what, I know what you've taught me my whole life, I know the way I'm supposed to act, but you know what, I don't want to do this anymore. And so he took all his money and left. And what happened was that the younger son, what he wanted to do is he wanted to go get high every night. He wanted to go get drunk. He wanted to sleep with a whole bunch of prostitutes. He wanted to do whatever he wanted under no supervision. Because you see, he had compromised who he was in order to go live in this sinful lifestyle and to go try out another way of doing life. So after he squandered all of his wealth, all his money, on what the Bible says wild living, check out what happens next in Luke 15, beginning in verse 14. It says, after he had spent everything, he spent every single dime and penny. After he had spent everything, there was a severe famine in that entire country, and he began to be in need. So here we go. He goes from this person with a ton of money and popularity, and he's hanging around a bunch of people. He's going to the bars. He's going to the brothels. He's going everywhere. But then he gives it all up. He spends all his money. So now he's on the other side, and he's saying, I don't have any money. I don't know what to do. I'm in the middle of this country I don't know really anything about, and I'm broke. So in verse 15 he says, so he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country to be that person's slave pretty much, to work for him. And it says, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. Man, he had a ton of money, but now, in the blink of an eye, he was feeding pigs. It was so bad, it got so bad, that it says he longed to fill his stomach with the pods that the pigs were eating. He wanted to eat the food the pigs were eating because he was so hungry and he didn't have any money to go eat. And it says, but no one gave him anything. He spent everything. And now he worked as someone who just fed pigs. You can also say, after reading that the younger son hit rock bottom. He had been going down this dangerous road for a while. And Jesus doesn't talk about in his story how long the younger son was out squandering his wealth and his money. But he had been going down this dangerous road. And now he was officially at the end of the road because he had no more money. He didn't know what to do. He was running away from God. He said, you know what, God, I see you doing your own way, but I'm going to go do my own thing. Because I hate how slow you are. I hate how you're not doing anything about X, Y, Z. I hate how I am miserable, God. And so he started putting his identity in so many material things. And we later learned, like I mentioned, he spent most of his money carelessly on prostitutes. But then while he was over in that country all by himself feeding pigs, he remembered how he was treated back home by his loving father. He remembered that he can wake up in his own bed, that he can go drink coffee in the morning with his dad before they went out to work the fields. He remembered of coming home and knowing that the house was going to have a roof over its head, that there was going to be heat, there was going to be AC, there's going to be some sweet tea in the refrigerator. He knew that what he had at home was everything he needed. And he started thinking about that. And that's the truth. He had everything he needed when his eyes were on his Father. And so he knew what he had to do. He had taken his eyes off of God and put it on other things. He had compromised his faith. But he knew what he needed to do. But he was really worried that his father would be mad at him. Have you ever compromised your faith? Have you ever gotten to a point where the things you did or said was so uncharacteristic of who you are and what you were made to do here on this earth? Like it made you say and do some radical things. Maybe you've tried things you know you shouldn't have tried. But because you went to hang out at that party, or you went to try certain things because you're like, I'm gonna give this a try. I'm gonna put a little bit of my identity in this because my friends seem to be doing okay. So I'm gonna give it a try. So Jesus, you hang out over here. I'm gonna go over here, and I'm just gonna kind of hang out with my friends over here. And I'm gonna do what they're doing to fit in with them. The problem is now you have an addiction towards whatever it was that you tried. Or maybe with the same thing, you said, I want to try sex. Everyone else is doing it. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone has pictures. Everyone's doing their thing. And I'm not. And so, no, Jesus, you hang out over here. I'm going to go over here. And the problem is that now that you've tried sex, you feel like that's all your identity is in. Maybe you feel like you're full of regret from something that you did in the past. That's what happens when we take our eyes off of Jesus and we put it on other things. We compromise our faith. So let's see what happens in the rest of the story with the son who found himself at a not so good place in his life. In Luke chapter 15 and verse 20, we're going to read the last few verses. And it says in verse 20, so he got up after he realized, I need to go home. He got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, this is so cool. When he was still a long way off from his house, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. His father was hanging out outside of the porch in his rocking chair with his sweet tea and just chilling, just enjoying the day. And he might have always been out there waiting for his son to come back. And he sees his son, and it says he was filled with compassion for him. He saw his son all the way out in the distance, probably miles away. And what did he do? He got up from his rocking chair, put his sweet tea down, and he took off to his son and said, my son is back. And so he went, ran to him, embraced him, hugged him, and kissed him. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But look at what the father did. The father did not care what the son had to say. The father didn't care what he had just experienced and what was in his recent past. It says the father said to his servants, he said, quick. He said, guys, go bring me the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger. Give him some bling. Give him some jewelry. Make him feel worthy of returning home. And he says, and put sandals on his feet. Because if you were a servant back then, you didn't wear anything on your feet. But the father was saying, oh, you're so much more than just a servant. Verse 23, he's not done. The father's like, we're throwing a party. He said, bring to the servants, bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. Let's celebrate. My son has come back home. I don't want to sit here and talk about the prostitute. I don't want to sit here and talk about your pain and all that stuff that you had to endure. I don't care about that. I care about you coming back to me, and I love you. Because he said, for this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost, but now he's found. So they began to celebrate. His father saw his son at a distance and didn't even wait for him to get home. He went to meet him. Catch this. The father went to meet him where he was. He went to meet him in his mess. Because you better believe that son was smelly and gross, but his father didn't care. He met him where he was. And not only just meet him and from a distance go, hey, you stink, so I'm going to stay over here. It says he hugged him and kissed him, showed how much he missed his son. And here's what Jesus is trying to teach people with this parable. He's saying God is the same way with you. For some of you, you think you're stuck too far. You're stuck too deep for God to rescue you. You've done too much crap in your life for God to even recognize you or acknowledge you. No, there's no way. I hear you, Zach. There's no way that God can forgive me because you don't know what I've done. And even if, let's say, God would forgive me, I don't know if I would want to talk to him because I'm too ashamed to have a conversation with him and tell him about what I did. Maybe you feel like you're too dirty or your life is too big of a mess. But here's the reality. God knows already. He already knows what you went through. He knows that you're a mess. He knows you went through a lot of crap in your life. But he says, you know what? I don't care about the past. I care that you are coming back to me. And I want to embrace you. I want to hug you. I want to kiss you. I want to celebrate that. He wants you to come back home. Because you see, God has this plan and purpose for your life that is far greater than you could ever imagine. And if we can fix our eyes and we can put our eyes back on Jesus and we can pursue Jesus, man, there's going to be a celebration. There's going to be a party. So my challenge for you, wherever you're at, come back home. Come back home, all of you who are straying away from God or running from God. Maybe you're tired. You're exhausted from faking it in so many different social groups, church, home, school, wherever. God is saying, come home. I'll give you rest. Put your identity in me. Forget what other people have to say and what their opinions are. Mine is the one that should matter. God's saying, I love you. And I want to celebrate the homecoming for when you come back. I love what Sarah said in the one-on-one conversation that I had with her. Sometimes you have to eliminate some toxic people in your life in order to keep pursuing Jesus. Don't compromise so that you can hang out with those people. Instead, realize they're not good for you. And surround yourselves with people who love Jesus and can point you and keep your eyes pointed on Jesus. If you have any questions about what we talked about tonight, or really just anything that you might be going through, maybe there is a struggle, maybe there's an addiction, maybe there's something going on in your life, do not be afraid to talk to me. DM us on Instagram, First Church MP, email me, text me, call me, whatever it may be. We are here for you. But more importantly, Jesus is here for you. And we want to help you fix your eyes on Him. Because only He can bring you life. So we're going to switch gears and we're going to start wrapping up our youth group tonight. And so just stay tuned. I know we still got Wheel Unfortunate coming up with Patty, and I'm really excited to see what happens there. But I'm going to send it over to Maggie and Tom.
Thanks, Zach, for that awesome message. And in response to the message, we have a question for you. Why do we compromise our faith in Jesus in order to please others? So be thinking about your response, because we will be talking about that more on our Zoom small groups.
Yeah, so our Zoom small groups. High schoolers are Monday at 9 o'clock, and then Tuesdays are middle schoolers at 8. So please tune in.
And while you were away at the message, Tom and I caught a huge fish in the lake.
It was so big.
I mean, we couldn't keep it long enough.
We couldn't.
It was so big. So we took a picture. So check it out. Wasn't that huge?
It was so big. Why did we throw it back?
I know, it was a real shame. Anyway, I hope you had a great night tonight. I hope you had fun and you connected with Jesus. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with a friend.
Yeah, so now we're going to turn it back to Patty with Wheel Unfortunate.
Whoa! Welcome back to Wheel Unfortunate, and I'm your host, Patricia. And as we all know, every week I get to choose who's the star in this show, and this person had probably the most amateur fishing outfit you've ever seen. And quite frankly, I just want to revenge him for what he did to me. So, Tomas, come right in. Welcome to Wheel Unfortunate.
Are you sure you don't want
Yes,
Maggie
I'm not
in
sure.
here?
I'm sure you owe me. So spin that wheel. What could it be? What could it be?
Oh! That's not how this
Barefoot
works.
Lego walk. I make the rules around here. Better start taking your socks off. Hey guys, we are back and we are ready to watch Tom walk on Legos barefoot.
I really think that
Okay, whoa. I just want to make one thing clear. You cannot take any part of your foot off the Legos. Every part of it has to be on every step of the way, and one foot in front of the other. I don't want any cheating, Mr. Tom Moss, so go right ahead.
Are you sure you don't want Maggie doing
Yes,
this?
I'm sure. Let's see it, Tom. Oh! Oh my God! This is happiness for my soul. This is great. Oh my!
I will not lose next time.
Are they bleeding? Are they bleeding?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thanks for tuning in for Youth Group tonight. Stay classy, North Platte.